Before dawn breaks, a chilling silence envelops the camp. Shadows of barracks loom over the frozen ground, where prisoners stir from their meager blankets, their breath visible in the frigid air. Each face reflects a shared exhaustion, a weariness that has become their constant companion. As the first light of day struggles to pierce the gray sky, a whistle pierces the air, summoning the men to roll call. They shuffle into formation, their clothes worn and inadequate against the biting cold. Each face is a mask of fatigue, eyes hollow and sunken. The roll call is a grim ritual, a daily reminder of their existence. The guards, indifferent to the suffering around them, bark orders as names are called. Each response is a testament to survival, a fragile thread holding them to life. After roll call, the prisoners are herded like cattle to a makeshift distribution point. Tools, rusted and barely functional, are handed out with little regard for their condition. Each man knows that these tools will dictate their day, and their survival hinges on their ability to work. With tools in hand, the men are marched to the work site, their bodies already protesting from fatigue. The ground is frozen, and the air is thick with the scent of damp earth. Hunger gnaws at their insides, an ever-present reminder of their plight. As the sun rises higher, it offers little warmth. The men labor under the watchful eyes of guards, their movements mechanical and slow. Each task feels insurmountable, and the weight of hunger compounds their exhaustion, creating a cycle of despair. Time drags on, marked only by the occasional shout from a guard. The prisoners push through their tasks, but their bodies betray them. Weakness seeps into their bones, and the promise of food feels like a distant dream. By midday, the cold has settled deep into their skin. The sound of shovels hitting the ground is accompanied by the hollow echoes of empty stomachs. Each man knows that there is no respite, only the relentless march of survival. As the day wears on, the men steal glances at one another, their eyes filled with unspoken fears. Each man is a shadow of his former self, the weight of their shared suffering binding them together in silence. Evening approaches, and the men are herded back to their barracks, their bodies aching and spirits low. The day has left them drained, a cycle of exhaustion that offers no hope of recovery. Tomorrow will demand more of them than today. As they settle into their cold bunks, the reality of their situation looms large. Each day begins anew with the same burdens, the same hunger. How long can they endure this relentless cycle of weakness and despair? In the early morning light, prisoners shuffle into the mess hall, their faces gaunt and weary. Each man knows that the day's labor will dictate his rations. They stand in line, eyes hollow, waiting for their meager portions. The camp's commandant oversees the distribution, his presence a reminder of the harsh reality. He barks orders, emphasizing that only those who meet their quotas will receive extra calories. Fear of starvation looms over every decision. As the day unfolds, labor begins. Prisoners toil in the cold, their bodies pushed to the limits. Each man knows that the harder he works, the more he can eat, but fatigue weighs heavily on their limbs. The quota system creates a brutal cycle. Those who falter due to exhaustion face reduced rations, leading to further weakness. Hunger becomes a constant companion, gnawing at their resolve and spirit. Among the prisoners, a man named Victor, in his late 30s, with dark hair and a prominent scar across his cheek, struggles to maintain his strength. He knows that each missed quota could mean days without food. The ration system is not merely a means of sustenance. It serves as a tool of control. Prisoners are pitted against one another, competing for the meager rewards that come with compliance and productivity. As the sun sets, the men return to the barracks, their bodies aching. Victor reflects on the day's labor, knowing that tomorrow will bring the same struggle. Each meal is a reminder of the stakes involved. In the barracks, the atmosphere is thick with despair. Victor shares a small piece of bread with a fellow prisoner, a quiet act of solidarity amidst the desperation. Every calorie counts, but so does humanity. The next morning, the cycle begins anew. Prisoners gather for roll call, their faces a mix of hope and dread. Each man silently calculates his chances of meeting the day's demands. Victor's resolve hardens as he prepares for another day of labor. He knows that survival hinges not just on strength, but on the ability to endure the relentless demands of the camp system. As the men disperse into the bleak landscape, The reality of their existence is stark. Hunger and labor intertwine, a relentless cycle that defines their lives. The struggle for survival continues, day by day. Each morning, the prisoners awaken to a biting chill that seeps into their bones. Frost clings to their breath as they shuffle from their flimsy shelters, the ground hard and unforgiving beneath their feet. The sun barely breaks the horizon, offering little warmth. They pull their tattered clothing tighter, aware that the cold is a relentless adversary, one that demands vigilance and resilience. The inadequate clothing, often patched and threadbare, fails to protect against the harsh elements. Men huddle together for warmth, their skin pale and mottled from exposure. The cold does not discriminate. It strikes the strong and weak alike, turning even the simplest tasks into monumental challenges. Each step outside becomes a negotiation with nature, where mistakes can lead to dire consequences. Frostbite becomes a common affliction, creeping silently upon the unsuspecting. Fingers and toes, once nimble, now numb and discolored, serve as reminders of the cold's merciless grip. The prisoners learn to recognize the signs, but by the time they do, it is often too late. The cold is a patient predator, waiting for the moment of weakness to strike. Shelters constructed from scrap materials offer little respite. Walls made of thin wood and tarps barely shield against the wind, which howls through the cracks. Inside, the air is damp and frigid, and the men huddle together, sharing body heat in a desperate attempt to stave off the cold. Each night feels like a battle for survival, where sleep is a fleeting luxury. As the days pass, the cold seeps deeper into their psyche. It becomes an omnipresent force, draining energy and hope. The men move through their routines like shadows, their faces etched with fatigue and despair. The once vibrant conversations fade into murmurs as the cold silences their spirits, reinforcing the isolation that the camp embodies. In the fields, labor continues despite the bitter chill. The cold air bites at exposed skin, and the men work with frozen fingers, struggling to maintain their quotas. Each task feels heavier, the ground harder, as the cold drains their strength. They push through the pain, knowing that failure means less food and more suffering. The cold is not just a physical challenge. It is a test of endurance and will. Some men succumb, their bodies unable to withstand the relentless assault. The camp's hierarchy shifts as those who remain grow more desperate. The cold fosters an unspoken competition, where survival becomes a matter of strength and cunning. Even the smallest mistakes become perilous. A slip on the icy ground, a moment's inattention, can lead to serious injury or worse. The cold does not require cruelty to enforce its will. It operates silently, a constant reminder of the fragility of life. Each day becomes a series of calculated risks, where the stakes are survival itself. As night falls, the temperature plunges further. The men retreat to their shelters, but sleep eludes them. The cold infiltrates their thoughts, amplifying fears of what tomorrow will bring. The darkness outside mirrors their internal struggles, where hope flickers like a dying ember, threatened by the encroaching frost. Despite the cold's oppressive presence, moments of camaraderie emerge. Men share stories, their voices low but filled with a flicker of warmth. Laughter, though rare, breaks the silence, reminding them of their humanity. In these fleeting moments, they resist the cold's grasp, finding strength in connection, however fragile. The cold, an indifferent adversary, continues to shape their existence. Each day is a testament to their resilience, yet the threat of frostbite and exposure looms large. As they face another dawn, the men know that the struggle against the cold is far from over, and survival remains a daily battle. Within the confines of the camp, a subtle hierarchy emerges, dividing prisoners into categories. Criminal inmates often receive better rations and privileges, while political prisoners endure harsher conditions. This disparity breeds resentment and competition. Trustees, selected from among the criminal population, wield their power over fellow inmates. They patrol the barracks, their faces hardened, eyes scanning for signs of weakness. Their authority is both a privilege and a burden. Foremen emerge as enforcers of the camp's brutal labor quotas. They are often former criminals, now tasked with ensuring compliance among their peers. Their loyalty lies not with the inmates, but with the system that elevated them. Informants lurk in the shadows, ready to betray their fellow inmates for a chance at survival. Trust erodes as whispers of betrayal circulate, creating an atmosphere thick with paranoia and suspicion. Survival often hinges on exploiting others, as the camp structure encourages betrayal over solidarity. In this fractured community, alliances shift like the weather, leaving many vulnerable. The constant struggle for resources pits prisoners against one another. As food becomes scarcer, desperation drives men to betray their closest friends, shattering bonds forged in shared suffering. In this environment, even the smallest act of kindness can be seen as a threat. A shared glance or a whispered word can ignite suspicion, leading to accusations and further division. As the days turn into weeks, the psychological toll of the camp's hierarchy deepens. Prisoners learn to navigate this treacherous landscape, weighing trust against survival with every decision. The camp's administration remains distant, allowing the prisoners to police themselves. This hands-off approach reinforces the hierarchy as the strongest prey on the weakest, perpetuating a cycle of violence. Amidst this chaos, some prisoners cling to their humanity, attempting to resist the dehumanizing forces at play. Yet the constant threat of betrayal looms, making solidarity a dangerous gamble. As factions form and dissolve, the camp becomes a microcosm of society, reflecting the darkest aspects of human nature. The struggle for survival continues, with each day bringing new challenges and choices. In the unforgiving confines of the camp, illness is a silent predator. Those who fall ill are seen not as victims of circumstance, but as failures, their bodies betraying the demands of labor. The weak are discarded, their suffering viewed as a personal crime against the system. Medical care is a cruel illusion. Infirmaries serve as sorting rooms rather than hospitals, where the sick are categorized by their ability to work. Those deemed unfit are often left to languish, their cries unheard amidst the clamor of daily survival. For many, a simple cough or fever becomes a death sentence. The camp's administration views illness as a liability, and the sick are often punished with reduced rations or forced labor. Survival hinges on the ability to perform, even when the body fails. The relentless cold exacerbates every ailment. Frostbite creeps in silently, claiming fingers and toes, while the lack of warmth stifles recovery. In this environment, even the slightest illness can spiral into a life-threatening condition. Among the sick, a sense of hopelessness prevails. Conversations become whispers of despair, as men share tales of friends who succumbed to illness. Each story reinforces the grim reality that survival is increasingly out of reach. The camp's hierarchy further complicates the plight of the ill. Those who once held power may find themselves stripped of status, reduced to the same fate as the weakest. Illness blurs the lines of privilege, leaving everyone vulnerable. As illness spreads, the camp's administration tightens its grip. Ration cuts become a tool of discipline, punishing the sick for their inability to work. The message is clear: weakness is unacceptable, and the consequences are dire. In the shadows of the camp, the sick are often forgotten. Their names fade as they slip away, leaving behind only echoes of their suffering. The machinery of survival continues, indifferent to individual loss. For those who remain, the fear of illness looms large. Each cough or chill is met with dread, as they know that vulnerability equates to death. The camp thrives on this fear, perpetuating a cycle of anxiety and despair. Despite the pervasive atmosphere of hopelessness, some prisoners cling to the faintest glimmers of hope. They share whispers of resistance, reminding each other that survival is not just about the body, but also the spirit. As the days drag on, the camp's brutal logic demands that only the strong endure. Illness becomes a crime, and the weak are left to navigate a world that offers no mercy. The struggle for survival continues, relentless and unforgiving. In the camps, punishment often manifests in silence. Ration cuts are delivered without a word, leaving prisoners to grapple with the stark reality of dwindling food supplies. Each day, the hunger deepens, gnawing at their strength and resolve, while the guards maintain an indifferent watch. The absence of physical violence does not lessen the impact. Instead, it emphasizes a chilling efficiency in the administration of suffering. For those deemed unproductive, reassignment to harsher brigades becomes a grim reality. The sound of heavy boots echoes as prisoners are led away from their familiar workspaces, their fates sealed by invisible quotas. The fear of being sent to the most grueling tasks looms over them, a constant reminder that survival hinges on meeting the demands of an unforgiving system. Isolation serves as a powerful tool of control. Those who falter are often placed in solitary confinement, where the cold walls amplify their despair. In these cramped spaces, time stretches endlessly, and the absence of human contact erodes their will to endure. The quiet becomes a suffocating presence, reinforcing the notion that even their thoughts are subject to the camp's ruthless governance. Changes in records can seal a prisoner's fate. A single mark on a ledger can transform a life of labor into one of despair. The meticulous documentation of each individual's worth becomes a chilling reminder that their existence is quantified by productivity. When the numbers drop, so do their chances of survival, as the system quietly enforces its will through bureaucratic cruelty. The absence of visible punishment does not equate to mercy. Instead, the camp operates under a regime of administrative death, where the slow erosion of life occurs through deprivation rather than brutality. Each decision made in the offices far removed from the barracks reverberates through the lives of the prisoners, who are left to confront the consequences of a system designed to strip away their humanity. As the cold sets in deeper, the psychological toll becomes evident. The prisoners, once vibrant with hope, now wear the weight of despair etched into their features. Their bodies, weakened by hunger and harsh conditions, reflect the invisible punishments they endure. The daily grind of survival becomes a haunting reminder that they are mere cogs in a machine that values efficiency over life. With each passing day, the line between life and death blurs. The camp's administration operates like clockwork, efficiently processing those who can no longer contribute. The whispers of missing individuals circulate among the remaining prisoners, a chilling reminder of the fragility of their existence. The absence of a body does not signify an end. It is simply another statistic in the ledger of survival. The psychological warfare intensifies as rumors of impending inspections circulate. The threat of additional ration cuts looms large, forcing prisoners to scramble for any semblance of compliance. The fear of punishment drives them to work harder, even as their bodies betray them. Each moment spent in the camp is a negotiation with survival, as they weigh the cost of their existence against the demands of the system. In this environment, camaraderie becomes a double-edged sword. Trust is a rare commodity, yet it is essential for survival. As prisoners navigate the treacherous waters of alliances and betrayals, the threat of administrative punishment hangs over them like a dark cloud. The need to share resources clashes with the instinct to protect oneself, creating a constant tension that defines their daily lives. The camp's machinery of control operates relentlessly, ensuring that each prisoner remains aware of their precarious position. The fear of administrative death is a constant specter, lurking behind every decision. As they endure the quiet brutality of their existence, the prisoners cling to the hope that somehow, against all odds, they will find a way to resist the system that seeks to erase them. In the dim light of early morning, prisoners gather in small groups, sharing whispers and scraps of food. Each stolen moment of connection becomes a lifeline, a reminder of their shared humanity amidst the cold and despair. Among them is a man named Anton, in his late 30s, with a gaunt face and deep-set blue eyes. His once dark hair is now streaked with gray, a testament to the relentless stress of camp life. He shares a story from his childhood, igniting flickers of hope. As night falls, the camp is enveloped in a blanket of darkness. A few prisoners gather around a small fire, their faces illuminated by flickering flames. They sing softly, their voices weaving through the cold air, creating a fragile bond against despair. In the barracks, Anton finds a scrap of paper and a pencil stub. He begins to write down names of fellow prisoners, preserving their identities in a place where erasure is commonplace. Each name represents a life, a story worth remembering. The act of remembering becomes a form of resistance. Anton shares his list with others, each name sparking conversations about the lives they once led. These fragments of memory offer solace, a reminder that they are not just numbers. One evening, a prisoner named Mira, a woman in her 20s with dark curly hair and a chipped front tooth, begins to hum a lullaby. The melody spreads, and soon others join in, their voices merging into a haunting yet beautiful harmony. These songs, though simple, become a form of defiance. They echo through the barracks, a testament to the spirit that refuses to be extinguished. Each note is a reminder that even in the bleakest of circumstances, hope can still flourish. As the days stretch on, Anton and Mira organize small gatherings where stories and songs intertwine. These gatherings create a fragile community, allowing prisoners to reclaim their identities, if only for a moment. With each act of sharing, the prisoners carve out a space for their humanity. They exchange food, stories, and laughter, weaving a tapestry of resilience that stands in stark contrast to the harshness of their reality. In these moments of connection, the weight of despair lessens, if only briefly. The prisoners cling to these acts of resistance, knowing that their humanity, though battered, is still alive and fighting to be seen. As night falls over the camp, the air grows colder, thick with the weight of loss. Guards gather around a wooden table, tallying the day's deaths with grim efficiency. Each name recorded is a reminder of the relentless machinery of attrition. In the barracks, the remaining prisoners lie on thin straw mattresses, faces drawn and weary. Among them, a young man with sunken cheeks and dark eyes stares at the ceiling, contemplating the absence of those who once shared his space. The sound of a bell echoes through the camp, signaling the end of the day's labor. Prisoners shuffle back to their quarters, their bodies weary and hollow, each step a reminder of the missing voices that once filled the air. In the corner of the barracks, a small group gathers to whisper memories of those lost. Their voices are hushed, reverberating with a mix of grief and defiance, as they cling to the humanity that the camp tries to strip away. The camp's administration operates like clockwork, assigning beds and reorganizing work brigades without pause. Each shift is meticulously documented as if the lives lost were mere numbers in a ledger rather than human beings. Outside, the cold wind howls through the camp, a chilling reminder of the harsh reality. A lone figure, a middle-aged man with a worn face and graying hair, stands by the fence, looking out into the darkness, contemplating his own survival. As the night deepens, the camp remains alive with the sounds of shuffling feet and whispered conversations. The absence of the departed is felt in every corner, yet life continues, driven by the instinct to endure. The tally of the dead grows, and with it, the emotional toll on those who remain. Each name represents a story, a life extinguished, yet the camp's machinery grinds on, indifferent to the human cost. In the stillness, a faint sound of a song emerges from the barracks, a haunting melody that speaks of hope and memory. It rises above the cold, a testament to the spirit that refuses to be extinguished. As dawn approaches, the camp prepares for another day of labor. The names of the missing linger in the air, a silent acknowledgement of their absence, while the living continue to navigate the relentless cycle of survival.